Hello, guys. Hopefully you can hear me. Had a little hiccup there at the beginning of the video, so sorry for starting 2 minutes late. Doing something a little different this time. It's just going to be in my sketchbook. I found this old toned sandpaper sketchbook in my art room, and I'm just gonna, have some fun with that. So hopefully this is fun to watch. I'm testing out this camera a little bit, so let me know if there's any problems. If you guys can see it clearly and everything. So hope everybody's doing well. It's been a bit of a crazy week, but that's sort of the norm now. As usual, if you have any questions or comments or whatnot, just leave them in the comments to this video, and I will try to get to everybody's questions as quickly as possible. So I just have a really lightly drawn pencil thing here. I'm not sure if you can actually see it underneath what I'm working on, but hopefully you can as I go over it. I really like working in pencil. It's been a while since I just like sat down and like sketched something in traditional media. Figure drawing classes and just drawing classes in general were always my favorite ones when I was in art school. So it's kind of like a pleasant, relaxing thing to do for me. Hmm. Yeah, I know the blue pencil. Well, there's actually no blue pencil to this because it's toned paper, but it doesn't really show up on camera. I'm going over it in a 2B pencil, so should be coming together as it goes. Yeah, I'm sorry about the picture quality on this, guys. I know it's a bit blurry. I'm a little disappointed. This is a relatively new camera, and it's supposed to be specifically for like live draws and stuff like that. So, like, I tried adjusting it as much as I could, and this is about as good as I could get it. Um, but like when this is done, it should be a more readable image than you've got right now. Oh, let me erase that out. Mm, I'm actually gonna make the mouth teeth closed. Sorry if there's any noise in the background. My my dog is in the room with me, and she's just kind of hanging out. Like I said, this is just a pencil drawing on toned paper, so it's like this sort of tanned kind of shade. You can see if I mark with white underneath it, the white shows up really well. So I'm probably just going to be shading this in and doing a little highlight over it and then calling it a day. So it probably won't be anything that goes up on the Facebook page or like becomes available as a print or anything. Just wanted to do some drawing by hand today. Just to, one, stay in practice, and two, because I enjoy it. I'm gonna erase this out a bit. The shoulder just doesn't look tense enough. One thing I like about drawing by hand is getting to do facial expressions, which isn't that different if you're doing it all by computer, but it feels so natural to me doing it this way. So just like getting all those subtle little details is really enjoyable. I'm gonna pause here, take a sip of tea. And like I said, sorry the picture is looking a little blurry. I was not expecting that. This is a relatively new camera, and so far it has been working well. It just kind of seems to decide, you know, today that it's not going to be cooperative. So I don't know if it's Facebook or if it's the camera or what's going on. Hopefully I can get that fixed next time there's a video, which should be this coming Saturday or Sunday. So if you've been enjoying these, tune in then. I feel like I'm making this face as I draw it. I think anybody else does that? Like, if you're drawing a facial expression, you feel like you need to like reference it somehow in your own face, even though you can't see your own face. You're just sitting at your desk cringing for no reason. Hmm. This doesn't look quite like Roxy has been looking lately. This looks more like she used to look in the like previous way I draw her. I'm trying to make these marks dark so you guys can see them. I know it's a little bit bright with the light. Here, let me make some adjustments. Here we go. I'm also trying not to like turn the page at all so it doesn't, get you guys car sick while I'm doing this. I am using just a Blick Studio 2B pencil for this. I tend to just use like Bs and 2Bs. I'm not entirely sure why they make like the harder leads, except for like architectural drawing. I used to buy those sets of like 6 or 7 pencils, and I stopped doing that because I have 26B pencils just sitting around my house that are never going to get used. Hmm. When I draw a strip by hand, I use it's basically just standard sized American comic book paper. So like Strathmore makes it and Canson makes it. It's like 11 by 17, and it has this really handy grid in blue line over top of it, so you can kind of lay out your panels um, where you want them. It's just a Bristol board, so it's somewhat on the expensive side. Uh, and I've actually not really been using it since I've switched to doing my line work in the computer. But if you're doing comics by hand, it's really helpful to have the grid marked out and to be using a really smooth surface. Gets a really good scan when you're done with it. Do you do tasks better with your tongue sticking out, like me? I don't find that I do that so much. I do like bite my lower lip a lot, I've been told, and I constantly tilt my head while I'm working. So I think everybody has like those little quirks that they don't necessarily notice until someone points them out, uh, especially when you're drawing. And I do find that when I'm drawing like a facial expression like this one, I sort of catch myself like making the face of the person that I'm drawing. So she's kind of doing this cringy smile here, and I feel like I'm kind of doing that too. Glad you guys can't see my face right now. Hopefully you guys can see some of the shading I'm doing. That's a little blurry. Make it a little more clear that she's smiling and not just cringing. Make it slightly wider at the top. Drawing that lower lip. Hmm. I like to add in a background when I'm doing pencil sketches too. It's a good, like, easy way to make it look like you have a finished drawing even when you don't. So you can just add a dark background behind it. And kind of gives me an idea of what the shape of the final is going to look like. Do a little bit of a gradient up here so her hair doesn't fade away into the background. I'm going to take a pause for tea real quick. Sorry, I feel like it takes my voice a little while to get warmed up doing these, so apologies if I sound like I'm whispering. I don't mean to be. Let's see. Oh, 11 by 17. Yes, inches. Sorry. I wish we used the metric system here. I don't know how many centimeters that is, but it's just a sort of standardized comics board for American comics. I can post a link in the comments when I'm done if anybody needs help, like finding the right brand. I have my preferred brand if you'd like that. Hmm. Yeah, I felt like drawing her in just an awkward pose. One, like, it's very in character for Roxy and for me too. I've been enjoying a lot of, you know, awkward humor TV lately. I just started watching Coupling, which is a show I hadn't watched in a long time, and it's really clever. It's really good, but like 90% of it is awkward social misunderstandings, which is, yeah, reflective of real life for me. Let's see. Hello there. Got a got our first cat gif in the comments. Thank you for that. I always appreciate cat gifs. Hmm. So this is really just going to be like a doodle session. I'm probably going to be done with this drawing in like 5 minutes, and then I'll just move on to another one. If you guys have any like specific requests for what I should draw, you should leave them in the comments. I'm using a tan-toned paper here and just a white Conte crayon. I'll do the eyes and teeth first, and to lay out the lightest lights when I'm doing highlights, and then kind of fill in the rest as I go. Gonna add a little highlight to the left side of her face. It's gonna look like a more strangely realistic Roxy than I usually draw. She has like actual shading from a light source, which I almost never do. Hmm. Ooh, Roxy in a Star Trek The Next Generation uniform. That's a good idea. Tricorder in hand, aiming a phaser. I had to look up some reference for the phaser, but I think I can do that. Make a good Patreon reward. I'm actually wearing my Star Trek t-shirt today. It's a good coincidence that you suggested that. Hmm. I've got a comment here. Someone in the comments is talking about their experiences drawing, and I won't read the entire comment aloud because I'm trying to sort of keep moving here, but it is really challenging to get like a really detailed scene to look right, especially if you're doing a lot of like background and if there's complicated lighting involved, like from a TV screen. It can take quite a few tries to sort of get it to look the way you want it to look, because there's just a lot of subtle little factors that you have to consider when you're drawing it, like, you know, what angle the light source is at for any given character, and there's just a lot of things that can go subtly wrong that you don't catch right away, but you start to realize as you're shading or as you're drawing, like, oh, I should have done that differently. So don't beat yourself up. Drawing takes lots and lots of practice. Hmm. Watching Star Trek right now. Awesome. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I actually just started watching it this year though, so I'm not like super well versed. I just watched my boyfriend and I binged all of Next Generation in about like 2 months, and yeah, I'm being generous there. It was probably like 1 month. but I love every single character on that show and cannot recommend it enough. Okay, so I think I'm done with this one. Got a little stray charcoal here, so I'm going to blow that away before moving on. Okay, so Roxy in a Star Trek uniform. I'm going to start with just a really basic line drawing, just to set up where I want her head to be and what proportions everything should be in. Um, I don't think I'm actually going to draw her aiming the phaser because I just had an idea. I really want to draw her in the Riker pose with just like one leg up on some random rock or something. So I'm going to do that. Hmm. I don't get to draw Roxy looking confident all that often, so feels like a good opportunity. Yeah, lighting and character positions. We got some artist talk going on in the comments. It's really complicated. Like even for this comic, like I don't have a completely unique approach to shading every week. I kind of pick an angle that works for me. Like I'll pretty much always have the light source presumably to the left of the character, so from one episode to the next, like Roxy is shaded more or less the same, and that's because it takes a lot of adjustment to like do shading in a way that you're not used to. So it's like once I got comfortable with my style, and it became what I used for everything. Okay, so I've got like the wireframe for her body down. I don't know if you guys can see that very clearly, but I'm sort of working on just her limbs and body now, and trying to get the shape of her just right before I start in on really getting the line work down. I'm gonna Google the Riker pose real quick and the uniform so I get it right. Got my phone off to the side here, so give me just a minute. I want to thank you guys for watching. It's always cool to see people from, looks like we've got some people from Argentina in the comments, which is awesome. So hello and thank you. Okay, so and sort of loosely on the hip, and then shoulder up there, shoulder down there. Hmm. Should make the insignia kind of big. She's got sort of a cartoonishly small body, and it might not read very well when I'm done. I'm gonna start with this collar. Get that little mandarin collar just right. Uh, I got people tuning in from Hawaii. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Hope you guys have been enjoying these videos. I'll try to work on picture quality for the next one. Might involve getting a different camera or just checking out settings for this one. Hmm. One thing that I always kind of struggled to draw was clothing folds. Uh, there's not much of that here since the Star Trek uniforms are so tight, but I still have to look at a lot of reference if I'm gonna draw someone in like a gown or anything, because I just find it so hard to make it look realistic. Hmm. I have like this slight little flare to the pants, if I remember correctly. Oh, I'm going off the camera. There we go. Hmm. Do you like pencil or digital better? I don't really have a preference. Pencil is probably more fun for me just because it's what I'm used to. This is more my comfort zone than drawing digitally, even though I've been doing both for a fairly long time. Yeah, digital is sort of a new thing for me. I started doing it because inking materials are fairly expensive, and I wanted to kind of cut costs on, the really high end, like inking brush pens and stuff that I'd been buying, and also the paper. Like Bristol board gets fairly expensive fairly fast as well. And also when I have the finished line work done, I think it looks a little crisper now than it used to. And partly that's just because uploading things to Facebook, there's inevitably going to be some quality loss as far as uh, how sharp the image is and how detailed it can be. Um, it just it looks more professional to me now that I've been using my Huion tablet for everything. It takes some getting used to. How should I draw her facial expression for this? I think I have an idea. Hmm. Like I said, I don't get to draw Roxy looking confident too often, so this is kind of fun. Although I think in real life she'd be less of a Riker and more of like a Deanna Troy, possibly even a Data. She's like socially a Data and intellectually a Deanna Troy. I bumped my microphone against the camera. I'm sorry. I should put the Riker beard on her. I'm not gonna do that. I think I'll draw her with the old haircut where she has her bangs still. I kind of stopped drawing her this way when COVID started because nobody's able to get haircuts right now. Or, well, in my opinion, nobody should be getting haircuts, at least in America right now. So I figured I'd have her grow it out slightly during this time. Actually ink over this one. Let's see if my ink pen is doing okay. This one's a little bit on the old side. Got a little damaged, so it kind of bleeds now. Seems to be okay. Looks pretty good on this paper. SA Digital is new for me still, but it's been so long since I actually inked by hand. Now this feels weird. We're about 30 minutes in now. Probably gonna call it quits around the 45 mark. Hopefully I'll be done with the inking by then. If not, I will post the finished image up on the Facebook page. I do love brush pens. This is a Japanese one. It's designed for doing brush calligraphy. I like it because it's just a really fine tip. You can get a lot of precision out of it. Well, someone with hands who weren't shaking right now would be able to. I'm kind of having struggles. I still get nervous when I do these videos. I don't know why. I'm going to turn it slightly. Brush pens are fun. They require, like, you have to kind of be confident with them. Like, you can't let your hand shake too much, and you kind of have to know, you have to be decisive. You know, you can't just, like, scribble with it and hope it doesn't show up in the final. I'd say inking is probably the most challenging part of comics for me. Glad I'm going to do this. I don't want to get rusty since I'm switching to digital now. And get our little Star Trek, Starfleet insignia here. It's got like the star in the middle of it, but can't quite get that to look just right because it's so small. That's close enough. Hmm. Sorry for getting so quiet. There's been a drop off in the comments. Roxy joins the Space Force. Oh man, Space Force. There's a new show about that with Steve Carell. It's really popular. I haven't checked it out yet though. I'm gonna turn the page upside down real quick. Sorry about all the turning. I kind of need to do it with the brush pen so I'm not pushing into the page. But I know it's probably a little bit disorienting to watch it on camera. I'm trying to stay within this little frame as much as I can too. So sorry if I'm going outside the lines. Like I said, inking is like, to me, the hardest part of traditional comics art because you have to be just confident with it in order for it to look precise. Turning it around again. What time is it? I feel like I'm racing against the clock. I want to get this line drawing done by 1:45. I try not to make these too long because when you start watching these live videos, some of you feel obligated to finish them, and if I'm on here for 2 hours, that's asking a lot of anyone. One more turn. This is one of those things too where it's paradoxically faster is better for using a brush pen sometimes. Like if you go slow, you tend to overthink it and your lines get a little bit unintentionally wavy, imprecise. I don't know how to put that, but like getting a good, like, confident line is pretty important. I'm gonna check my reference again so I don't make her sleeves the wrong color. Okay. Some black up at the shoulders. I also thought I'd ink this so it'd be a little more visible on camera for you guys. This reminds me of the end credits of Daria. Did anybody watch Daria? They always had the main characters dressed as like random celebrities or like historical figures. It was different every week. It was fun to watch. That's kind of what I do with my patrons. I'll send out like a monthly digital art kind of postcard reward for them, and usually it's Roxy like dressed in some kind of costume or another. What job would Roxy want on a spaceship? Ooh, um, I think she'd probably be best suited to be like a ship's counselor, just given her skill set and way of thinking. So technically that would be like a science officer in Starfleet, but very different from like a Spock type science officer. Almost done. Just gonna do the hair. I'm gonna use my nice brush for this one. Hair shading is always fun. I think I mentioned last week, hair is one of those things I could just draw like forever. It's just so easy for me. Like it's, well, I don't mean to brag. I mean, it's like one of my favorite things to draw because it's just sort of freeform and organic. How does your pen do small detail and those big lines? Brush pens are really good for that. Well, at least this type of brush pen is. You can get like a really fine tip. You just have to like apply the right amount of pressure to the page for what you want. So I can do really fine line stuff like this, and then if I flip it over, I can do like right, heavy line, light line, heavy line. You just have to kind of get used to handling it the proper way. That's one of the reasons I love brush pen, because you can get so much variety out of it. If I want to use like just a regular felt tip pen, my line work just doesn't look very energetic. Like it feels kind of stiff and not quite right for like a comedy webtoon. I think brush pen is really good for just expressive kind of cartooning. It's just a matter of finding like what tools work best for you. I know some people prefer to use the fine tip pens, and that is totally fine for them, as obviously. So depends on the individual quite a lot. Okay, I'm gonna erase out some of the heavier pencil lines underneath here. And try not to smudge the ink as I do it. Starting with the older like areas of the drawing where it's dried out first. I'm gonna do the face last. Got a brush here I can get rid of the eraser shavings with. Trying to be like as gentle as possible. I've had many a drawing get ruined when I was trying to erase out the pencil line underneath because I was impatient. I'm almost done. All right. Well, there she is. Anyway, it is 1:46, so I'm 1 minute over the mark, but I did get a late start, so forgive me. But thank you guys again for watching and for leaving your comments, and I will let you know hopefully further in advance next time when the next video will be. Should be next Saturday or Sunday, like I said. But in the meantime, everybody have a good week and try to stay sane.